What's up? It's Craig Jockman, and I'm. It's been a while since I made my last video. I decided to make it today. I wrote a list of my opinion, my top 10 favorite Detroit Pistons of all time. Well, there are a lot of greats in this franchise, but I'm just gonna list 10 of them. Well, which is my opinion, are great. Are great in my eyes, though. Some of them are still playing. Most of them retired. Most of them are legends. Some of them are just underrated and didn't get to Hall of Fame, but I think they will eventually. But I'm just gonna go over this list with you real quick. All right, we're gonna start off with 10. Number 10, Andre Drummond. Boy, was he a rebound machine. Andre Drummond, he been in this league since 2012, and so far he's proven that he can rebound like a monster. He can dunk. I mean, it doesn't toss him. You could toss him a ball directly towards the rim, he'll slam that boy in. He got hustle. He got heart. He's strong in the basket, and he led the team. He led the franchise with rebounds, I believe. And only thing I don't like about him is the defense. I mean, even though his defense is kind of bad though, but I like him though. He can play. Nobody can out rebound Andre Drummond. That's why he's on my list. And someday he will win a ring. I know he's gonna win a ring though. I mean, he's only 23 years old, but that's why he's on my list. He can defend a little bit. He can rebound. He can dunk. Man, he's a beast. So Andre Drummond's number 10. Number 9, Tayshaun Prince. Tayshaun Prince is a vet. Tayshaun Prince is like a 14-year veteran who been with the Pistons for like since 2000. Who played for the Pistons in 2002, I believe. He was drafted in 2002. He was like one of the youngest. He was one of the youngest Piston players to win a championship. And as rookie, before he won a championship, he proves that he can be an all-star. He can hustle. He can block shots. He can make clutch shots. And he can he keeps his team consistent. And he's one of the he's part of that big five, that deep starting lineup in 2004. Especially what he did to the Eastern Conference Finals, man. That block shot was legendary, bro. The Piston fans, that block shot was mostly the Piston fans will never forget. Without that block shot, that's the key. That block shot was the third championship in this franchise. That's what makes him. That's why Tayshaun Prince was so important to that team that time, and that's why he's on my list. He's number 9. Number 8, Joe Dumars. Joe Dumars was part of that. Was part of this Piston fraction in the late 1980s called the Bad Boys, the Detroit Bad Boys. Oh yes, they were bad. They were bad. They could all. The Bad Boys are one of the fractions that you don't like. Nobody doesn't like this team back then, and Joe Dumars was one of them. Well, he wasn't part of that. He didn't get into fights all the time. Joe Dumars, that's the other players. Joe Dumars was one of the classiest players on the team. Yeah, he is. He's humble. He shows respect. He shows respect to before the game and after the game. He's always humbled. He man, but he can play though. He can defend. He can hustle. He can yeah, he can hustle. He can break. He can break somebody's ankles next time. You know, cross somebody. And what else? Oh, and he's like when it comes to consistency and and defense and fast break points, Joe Dumars was the main part of that. And he's the finals MVP of the he is the finals MVP of the 1989 NBA Finals. Yeah, I like him as a player, not a general manager. He sucked as a general manager, but as a player, he is hands down one of the underrated Piston players that this franchise have. That's why he's number 8 on the list. Number 7. Whoo! Number 7. Bill Laimbeer. How many of y'all heard of Bill Laimbeer? He always fights everybody, man. Man, he was a monster. Let's start off with his skills on the court. He got skills on the court. He can shoot threes. He can block shots. He can rebound. One of the best big men this franchise ever had. Not to mention his personality. I mean, Bill Laimbeer used to be one of the players that they can't stand at the 80s. He got to fight with everybody. It's just so funny that he fights everybody. He got into it with Magic Johnson. He got into it with Larry Bird. He got into it with one of the Michael Jordan's players, and Scottie Pippen, man, and some other players. Stephen Kerr, I believe. I don't know, but man, Bill Laimbeer was one of the guys that you don't want to piss off on the court, because he will flame your ass. He will punch the shit out you though. He don't give a fuck, man. Bill Laimbeer, as far as him being on the court, he's very skillful. He can rebound. He averaged triple doubles most of his career. I mean, yeah, that boy is bad. He's a bad boy. He's a bad. Don't mess with him, all right? Don't mess with him. He's number 7. Number 6, Ben Wallace. Ben Wallace. How many of y'all remember Rasheed Wallace, Mr. Technical Foul? As a player, he's good as a player. The Pistons got him from the Trailblazers. He started off good as the Trailblazers, and then he went to the Pistons. The same thing. He played better as a Piston player. When he joined the Pistons, he was man. He can shoot threes. He can do fast break. He can I mean, if the ball is there, he'll get it. And he got some ref problems too. Yeah. I'm talking when calls doesn't go his way, even though most of them are outrageous, he gonna get mad. And when they on the free throw line, he say ball don't lie. The 3 words ball don't lie was one of his famous quotes that everybody use nowadays. Yeah. Ben Wallace, reason why he's on my list. Not just his personality, not because of his personality, even though that was hilarious. It's because he can play. He's very skillful. He's a former All-Star as a Piston and as a Blazer. So yeah, number 6, that's Rasheed Wallace. Number 5, Dennis Rodman. He spent most of first his career started as a Piston, but he's a Piston player and a Chicago Bulls player. I'm going to talk to him I like him as a Piston though. Well, he's also part of that. He also part of that Detroit Bad Boys roster. He can. What I like about him, he can block shots. He can block shots. I think he led the franchise with most block shots. He can defend. His defense was amazing. His hustling was fantastic. Man, Dennis Rodman was won like 7 rebound titles and a defensive player of the year of the 1988 season. And he's very cheerful. He's very silly. He's the silliest dude on the team. He makes a lot of teammates laugh. He's the funniest dude on there though. But deep down his heart is big as a large boulder. I'm talking him being all gutsy and kind-hearted too though. He likes to write autographs with fans to be, yeah. Dennis Rodman, even though he was a Bulls player, played with Jordan, you're on my list. Shout out to you, Dennis Rodman. You're on my list, bro. You're on number 5. All right, that's number 5. Number 4, Grant Hill. Grant Hill was he made a small appearance on that Bad Boys roster. But wait, he was drafted in 1994. He was drafted in 1994. And that Bad Boys roster, well, after the Bad Boys retired, it hasn't been the same. Well, unfortunately for Grant Hill, it didn't give him. Grant Hill was a beast in the late 90s and in the 2000s. He was an all-star. He was a defensive player of the year. Let's just say he was the Barry Sanders of the late 1990s Piston. Because that team sucked that time. Even though he can lead team. He single-handedly led them to the playoffs. He averaged blocks per game, steals per game. Grant Hill, he can play. Unfortunately for him, he didn't win a ring. I wish he would have stayed. If he would have stayed with the 2004 Pistons, he would have won a ring. He would have won a ring too. He would have won himself a ring along with that, at least as a bench though. But Grant Hill, he's a dunking machine. He could dunk on there. He can dunk on anybody at his prime though. He was the guy into it with a couple of people, Alonzo Mourning and Tim Duncan, I believe. Yeah, Grant Hill was a beast in the late 90s. That's why he's on my list. Number 4. Number 3, Ben Wallace. Fear the Fro. The big guy with the afro who wears number 3. He was one of the huge parts of the 2004 Detroit Pistons. He was a defensive player of the year. He was defensive player of the year. Man, he was a beast, bro. Nobody's gonna stop him on fast break. If he's coming down there on fast break, you need to move the hell out of the way, cause he will shit on that rim. He'll destroy that rim, man. Ben Wallace, bro. He always coming on the court with his fro pick, you know. Man, one of the huge parts of that 2004 roster. He was a beast. Humble. He was humble. He could be humble, but if you pissed him off, he's gonna flame your ass, bro. I ain't playing. Ben Wallace was a bad boy then. Was a bad boy then. Yeah, don't mess with him. That's why he's number 3. That's his jersey number. Number 3 is his jersey number, but also number 3 on my list. All right, number 2, Chauncey Billups, also known as Mr. Big Shot, also known as Mr. Clutch. Chauncey Billups, his career started with the Boston Celtics in 1998. He He was one of the top 10 picks in the 1998 draft. First, his career started off with the Celtics. He was good. He was clutch. And then 2002, he was with the Pistons. Let's just say he was the Steph Curry. He was the Steph Curry of the 2000s. Chauncey Billups was the Steph Curry of the 2000s, though. But even though his 3-point shooting doesn't always go in, yeah, Chauncey Billups. I'm gonna give a shout out to him real quick. Chauncey Billups, man. When it's crunch time, his shots been going in. His shots was fire. And then, not to mention his assists that he averaged, and the triple double. Well, when it comes to stealing the ball, Chauncey Billups was the NBA Finals MVP of 2004. He led the team to their third championship in franchise history. And he wears number 1. And he just got his jersey hung up last year. All right. That's Chauncey Billups. He's number 2 on my list. Now number one, Isaiah Thomas. Isaiah Thomas was the man. Was the protagonist of the Detroit Bad Boys. I'm talking the points that he averaged, his hustling, the guy, and the rebounds. The guy's like 5'11", and he got like 10 rebounds. That was impressive, bro. 5'11" and 10 rebounds. He get triple doubles. His hustling ability. I mean, he was amazing in the late night. Well, not until the 1986. I'm talking about before they won the championship. That boy was absolutely no joke. Nobody can check him. Nobody can check him. Isaiah Thomas at his prime. Nobody can check him, man. He was a bad boy. And it's so funny how he got into it with Jordan. He got into it with Jordan, though. Jordan don't even like him, though. He doesn't even like him then. He doesn't even like him now. And all this talk about the 1992 Dream Team. My dad told me Isaiah Thomas wasn't on it. He was mad, though. My dad was mad because he wasn't a part of that team because Michael Jordan and Charles Barkley doesn't want Isaiah Thomas on the team. I'm like, man, I don't care what nobody say. Isaiah Thomas is the best point guard. He is the best player in that era. I don't care what nobody say. I don't care what Michael Jordan says. Isaiah Thomas is the best player in the 90s, in the late 80s and the early 90s. Nobody can mess with him. Isaiah Thomas is number 1. All right, guys, that's it, y'all. What do y'all think of my top 10 list? I mean, if you guys have other lists, these are just my. This is just my list. I mean, if you have a list on your own, cool. It's cool. So that's it, y'all. This is Craig Jockman. Peace.